Well, where does the administration stand, especially on financial regulatory reform? Tom Friedman joins us now to discuss. Thanks for being here, Tom. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Want to get to exactly where you think the administration stands right now when it comes to bank reform. We have not seen an overhaul of the system whatsoever. We're more than a year out now from the depths of the financial crisis. You've talked about in your columns bickering and this we-they attitude that's coming from the administration towards the financial system. What's wrong with the way it's operating right now?
Well, let's take the issue first of all. This is a difficult issue because what we want to do is prevent recklessness without taking risk-taking out of capitalism. You know, risk-taking is essential to capitalism. What we experienced in the last 2 years, or even before, was where risk-taking tipped over into recklessness. So finding that perfect line where you take recklessness out but keep risk-taking in is difficult. I have a friend who's in the retail business. He was telling me at his store, they decided they had so much pilfering and shoplifting of video games, they decided to put them in a glass cabinet lock and key. And he said, and this is what he said, you know what? We ended the shoplifting, no more shoplifting, and our sales of video games completely tanked. So there's a really fine line. You can lock up everything. We'll have no shoplifting. And so finding that line between risk-taking and recklessness, I think, is difficult.
Is the Volcker proposal the right plan? We saw earlier this week 5 former Treasury secretaries came out backing the proposal. The president and Mr. Volcker obviously pushing for this. But almost all the bankers that I talked to at the World Economic Forum in Davos, they do not think it is the right plan for global competitiveness of banks. What can we do to have reform, in your opinion, but not do something that the bankers drastically disagree with?
Well, again, I think Volcker is definitely, from my point of view and the experts I've talked to, on the right track. You know, we can't have a system where banks can take deposits that are insured by the government if anything goes wrong, and with one hand, at the same time, be speculating for their own account on the other. And if that goes under, our insurance basically comes in and protects them. At the same time, what is speculation for the bank's own account, and what is, doing hedging for a customer and then hedging on top of hedging and maybe just a little extra hedging for me? That's where the real challenge comes in. So I personally believe Volcker is on the right track. But when you have a global economy and you have, so many different kind of situations that can arise, it's the devil here is really in the details.
You have talked about your view that this country, this administration, may be missing these, quote, strategic inflection points, whether it's healthcare, whether it's trade policy, whether it's energy policy. What are they missing? What is the administration missing that's critical right now on all of those fronts?
Well, my friend Craig Mundy, who's one of the leaders at Microsoft who replaced Bill Gates, he has a nice way of expressing this, I think. What is it that distinguishes our country more than any other? I think it's really that we have more of a certain type of man or woman, and that thing we have more of are really smart, high IQ risk takers. High IQ risk takers. That's Steve Jobs, it's Bill Gates, it's the Sergey Brins. It's really smart people. A lot of countries have smart people who are also risk takers. A lot of countries have risk takers. What you want is a country that has a lot of high IQ risk takers, and then a government system that enables and encourages and empowers them, and a financial system that takes their high IQ risk-taking ideas and turns them into companies, products, and services. And the question I have today is whether we have a government that has the right policies to take advantage of those people and attract more, and at the same time, a financial system that's enabling and encouraging them. That's really what I am most worried about today, because the future belongs to the country which, per capita, has the most high IQ risk takers.
Well, let's talk about the country that is competing head-to-head now with China. And this is something you've been very outspoken on, saying we can't afford to be asleep with an invigorated China awake. Are we missing our opportunity and giving it to China?
Well, my view is we still have, I think, all the secret sauce we need to thrive in the 21st century. And I think we still do have more high IQ risk takers and a better system for nurturing them. But we cannot rest on our laurels. To me, China is the Sputnik of the 21st century. Just as, in the late 1950s, the Russians put up the Sputnik satellite, we realized we were behind in missile and rocket technology, and we went on a whole campaign to build up our economy, our infrastructure, and our education and scientific research. In fact, the internet can be traced to that moment. Well, to me, China is the Sputnik for America of the 21st century. It's a sign of a rising challenge, and too many people in our country today think it's just a shooting star. It is not a shooting star.
We will leave it there. Fascinating discussion. Tom Friedman, thank you so much.